So I did a video a few months ago called "Is He a She?" and it was about a boy on the cruise who saw either me or one of my cross-dressing friends and could tell that that we were males that were in feminine roles. And I had a commenter, Sheila, who's like one of my favorite commenters, say that she had a similar experience. She works at a a Sephora counter as her feminine self, and had someone say, "Is she a boy?" Actually, let me get this right. The comment that I heard was, is he a girl? Yeah, is he a girl? And the comment that Sheila had heard is she a boy? Well, I don't think it matters which is which, but I think it kind of points out something that these children are expressing that maybe like as adults is kind of hard to wrap our minds around. And that's kind of that there are two things in play here. There is the genetic sex, so whether your chromosomes are XY or XX or I suppose it doesn't matter if they're anything besides that. Those are the two most common by far genetic. Going back to my biology here, high school biology, that is the genotype, whereas the phenotype is the expression of those genes. Now, I'm not talking about expression of genes, I'm talking about expression of self. So there are two things in play here. There's the genetics, and then there's also the social concept. And the genetics would be whether you're XY or XX, and then the social concept is whether you're in the male role or in the female role. And so I think that's what these children are trying to express. And I think that is what a lot of people, even trans people, have a hard time wrapping their brains around, is that there are two things in play here. In our English language, just uses like male and female or boy and girl to mean the same thing. Whereas male is more geared towards the genetics, whether you're XY, and like man or woman is more about your social, how you fit in socially. So if you're a female, you could present as a man. But if you're male, you could present as a woman. And that those two things don't usually line up, but don't always line up. And these children are kind of expressing that they understand that at some probably like subconscious level, is that a male can be feminine and a female can be masculine. Whew, it's even hard for me to keep straight. Anyway, I think those are two separate things, and I think these children are understanding that, and that as adults, we see the two things be equivalent so often that we use them interchangeably, and that even though, sorry, so hard to even keep this straight, that even though someone is born male, it doesn't mean they're masculine in how they fit into society. Now, I remember reading a book, I think it was called Custer and Crazy Horse, that talked about Crazy Horse as an American Indian and kind of talked about the culture around that. And I'm not sure what the point was. I think because Crazy Horse was not a chief, he was a warrior. But it talked about other people in the tribe, and that there were these males that would take on a female role, and they would dress as women, and they would do the women's role. They do the chores that women do, and even would marry men and become one of their many wives. So if you know of a book, I wanted to find this, I've not really looked very hard, but if any of my commenters know of a book like a sociology book that talks about the different genders in different cultures. Because I know like some cultures have like 7 or 8 different genders, and like our typical Western culture has 2, male and female, and we're starting to kind of recognize transgender and the different variations there. But anyway, I don't want to go on too long about that. But if you know of like a book, I think that would be really interesting about different cultures around the world and how they recognize and treat, for better or for worse, other gender phenotypes, like how they express their gender fluidity or transgenderness. But it's interesting that these kids have expressed that they recognize those two things as being different. Is he a girl? Is she a guy? That type of thing. And sometimes you hear that jokingly, but in the 2 cases that I'm aware of, it was actually genuine curiosity. Well, anyway, just thoughts that came to mind. Sometimes I just decide to talk about them online and see what kind of comments and what kind of perspectives people have. So feel free to comment and reach out to me, or you can email me or whatever if you don't want to comment publicly. I certainly don't want to offend anybody if they've got different point of view, but this is just thoughts that go through my head, so I'm not stating that I am empirically correct. But yeah, sure. Let me know if you have a different point of view, respectfully, please, and have a good weekend.